What's up, Morosco Ohana? Welcome back to our channel. If it's your first time coming to our channel, welcome. I'm Thomas.
I'm Stacy.
And today we are going to do a controversial parent tag with some
Controversial questions. Some are controversial, some are like more just opinions. But we just want to say, disclaimer, no matter how you choose to raise your children, they are your children, just like ours are ours. So no judgment. Just want to put that out there because I feel like people get very sensitive in certain topics, and we're telling you our experience, not what we think is right for everybody. Okay?
Right. Yep.
So, well, here we go. First one is breastfeed or formula. So, when we had Josiah, our first, he's 3 now, but when we had him, I was like so adamant on breastfeeding, and everyone says that's the best, blah, blah, blah. This boy did not latch for the life of him. He screamed and cried every time I fed him. So his sugar dropped very low, and the nurse was like, okay, he's right. He got like into, it was just really scary because his sugar dropped so drastically. They had to keep him in the ICU, and he was a 9-pound baby, okay, in the ICU because of that. So they gave him formula, and I started pumping until I finally got enough supply. But we definitely did both with him. We gave him formula up until I got enough supply. Then eventually I had a whole freezer full of breast milk.
Yeah.
I did not physically breastfeed him, but I did provide breast milk. But I also think that some people are so like against formula that they don't want to do that, and it's dangerous. Like, you have to just feed your child and make sure that they are good. Like, at the end of the day, whatever works for you.
Yeah. I would say just our experience was he wasn't latching, right? One of the reasons for that mainly is because of what they told us was Stacy did have a C-section.
Right.
Okay to say that?
I mean, yeah, it's not a secret.
Okay. I said she did have a C-section, so like her milk also didn't come in as fast as we needed it,
or as fast as he was expecting, because he was a
right.
big baby. So
we needed to have him on formula for a little bit, but he actually took well from the transition for formula. It was only like maybe 2 weeks, I think.
Yeah.
Or something like that. And then her milk started coming out, and she was pumping, and he actually switched over really quick to like breast milk.
He was like, just feed me, I don't care.
Yeah.
And so with Kailea, who's 1.5 now, when it came to her, I also tried to breastfeed, but she did latch, but then a lot of times she used me as a pacifier, so I was like, okay, we're not gonna do this. So I pumped for her exclusively, and so she had pretty much breast milk. Cloth or disposable diapers? For sure, disposable. Now, when I was pregnant, I asked my mom, I was like, do you think I should look into disposable? Cloth. Because they're better for the environment, and you can, it saves you money. And she was like, oh no. She's like, they're not going to save you money when you're going to be having to wash that many diapers all the time. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, I didn't think about that. Like, detergent's still expensive. So we just stuck to disposable. But I keep confusing them right now. Co-sleep or crib sleep? Oh gosh. Like, I just feel like people always have an opinion about this one. Our kids were really good about the first 6 months in their bassinet. Then we transitioned them into the crib. And then with Josiah, it was kind of a weird situation because we moved in the middle of him. Like, he was really good on his crib, really good. But then we moved to where we had no option but for him to sleep with us. So he got used to that. So then when Kailea came, as a baby, she didn't have any idea. So she slept in her bassinet in her crib fine until she started saying like, hey, how come you 3 are sleeping without me? Bed, so now it's literally the 4 of us, and it's ridiculous. On one bed. He has his room, he has his bed, and like for the most part, he's pretty good about sleeping in it, but he still comes in the middle of the night and like comes and raids our beds. So hopefully when she's 2 and he's 4, which is coming up in a few months, maybe we'll try again to put them in their room.
Yep.
Circumcised or not?
I know it's controversial.
This one's really controversial. Like, I don't even like to see debates about it because I was really torn. And this was one, okay, so basically, when it comes to our kids, I feel like we're really good about making we're pretty much on the same page about our decisions. But this one, I was like, I don't want to do that. I didn't want to do it. But Thomas is circumcised. Is it okay if I say that? So he was like, well, yeah, like I want my son to be circumcised too. So I left it more up to him. And luckily everything was okay. And I remember with the nurse that day, I asked her, like, what do you think? Like, is he really going to feel that much pain? And she was like, is dad circumcised? And he's like, yeah. And she's like, do you remember it? He was like, no. She's like, he's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
So it just was one of those things where I was not the happiest about, but at the same time, I'm like, okay, well.
He did not really cry about it at all. You know, even the next day, like he was
fine.
He was fine with the medicine the doctor gave us and everything. He was fine.
But and this is another one where if you feel like really against it, then that's your choice too. Like I can understand as a mom, like because you don't know what to expect, you don't know much. So
I would say just do your research on it, like what you guys want to do.
And yeah. Okay, next one is piercings. I know a lot of people have a very strong opinion also about girls getting piercings as babies. Yeah, a lot of people say that it's an intrusion of their body and they should decide when they're old enough. Personally, like I don't know about you guys, but in like Latino culture, we get our ears pierced like as soon as they pop us out of the womb. Like it's just so fast. Like I got my ears pierced when I was like 2 months. Don't remember it. It was done by my great grandma, who apparently was like the ear piercer of the family, and she was good at it. So when it came to the sissy girl, to Kailea, we did it, and she was fine. And the funniest thing was Josiah cried more than when she did. It was the cutest thing. He was like, no, like he was not my sissy. He was like crying because she was crying. So for us, a culture thing, like we just do it early on. And I honestly feel like their skin is a lot softer and it's easier to pierce a baby's ear than a 5-year-old who can later pick at it. Like Kailea still wasn't even turning over really. So she pretty much slept on her back. She didn't mess with them. So it was fine. But I feel like if it was like a 4-year-old, 5-year-old, they're going to be in pain and they're going to remember that. So I don't know. That's just my take on it. Next one is raising kids vegan. Opinions on that?
I'm not against it.
Me neither.
But sorry, we're not vegan at all.
Yeah, we try to be vegan.
So,
but if you are, I guess as long as you provide enough protein or whatever they're missing in meat, then good for you. I mean, I think that's cool, I don't know. I just feel like that's
pretty cool. Props to y'all who eat vegan.
Seriously.
It seems tough.
Okay, next one. Very controversial. Is pro-choice or pro-life?
I'm pro-life.
We are pro-life.
We are pro-life.
However, I personally know women, friends, who have gotten abortions, and I would never cast any kind of judgment. All I can do is just pray that they are okay and they seek healing, because I know it can't be easy, and that's where I'm gonna leave it. But I think life starts in the womb, and life begins at conception, and that's what we believe. So how long is it okay for a baby to cry it out? Okay.
I would let it. I don't know.
Okay. Now, if we're talking about like an infant that cannot express their words, I have a very hard time letting them cry it out, because they're obviously crying for a reason.
Sorry to interrupt you, but Stacy has a good story. I would say, like your own story of why crying may not be like maybe a good idea to get it checked sometimes.
Oh, yes. So, in my case, I was actually born with a tumor in my liver, and I would just cry nonstop when I was born up until I was like 6 months. Like the doctors, the pediatricians would always say it's what do you call it? Colic. She's colicky. But my grandparents told my mom that is not a colicky baby. Her stomach is way too inflated. It would never goes down, and she's always crying like she's in pain, like a different kind of pain. They had like 7 kids, so they would know. So finally, they sought another opinion. Turns out I had a liver in my tumor that was the size of a grapefruit.
Tumor in your liver. You
said
a liver in my tumor.
I had a tumor in my liver?
Yeah.
That sounds weird.
A liver in your tumor?
I don't know, it just rolled off the tongue better. Anyway, it's not a funny situation. I had a tumor in my liver the size of a grapefruit. And so, so that's why I was crying freaking like crazy. So can you imagine if my parents tried the cry it out method? I would have freaking died.
Yeah.
So I honestly believe that when kids are crying at that age, like I don't believe in, not that I don't believe in it, because I think people know certain cries. Once you know your baby, you know your baby's cries. You know if it's a hungry cry, a tired cry, you kind of learn that. I just personally could not let my kids cry. Like if they are crying for something, like it's for a reason. However, once they turn like you know, once they start turning at an age where they can express themselves, like I would let Josiah just cry out a tantrum. You know, there's a difference between a baby that needs something and like a toddler that's just being a little punk, you know?
And most baby, I mean, maybe it's just our babies, but they kind of tell us what they, you know, once you kind of change them, feed them, or lay them down, they were fine. Like they stopped crying because you gave them what they needed. So
maybe that's another reason I can't really relate to like the cried out, because like our kids were really good about, hey, it's a reason. Okay, let's take care of it. And they would knock out. So, but I know a lot of people use the cried out method for like crib sleeping or certain things. Like I just couldn't do it, but people can. So I don't know. Next one is vaccinate or not to vaccinate. Okay. We do vaccinate our children, but I always ask my doctor if we can spread out the vaccinations. I hate giving them more than 2 or 3 in one doctor visit. So I try to ask her, like, can we just kind of, you know, take it at a slower pace? I don't want them to be like, you know, pumped with so much at once. So I kind of try to like balance it out in that sense. Next one is pacifiers or not.
Ooh. Hey, I would say they are a lifesaver.
Oh, yeah.
But trying to take them away at a certain point could be troublesome.
But it's worth it.
Yeah.
Our son used a pacifier until he was like a few weeks before his 2nd birthday. He was around 22 months and we're like, okay, by his 2nd birthday, he cannot have a passy anymore. And it was 3 days of hell. But I would rather go through those 3 days of hell of weaning it than all the other months that he was just like such a calm baby. And he would just, boom, like his pacifier let him sleep all night. So that helped us a lot. He was a very good kid, good baby in that sense.
That's kind of what kept him in his crib for a little bit too.
Yes,
like,
the passy.
As long as you can have it next to him, he would kind of like, even when he's sleeping, he would just roll over and he would find it and just...
So sometimes we would leave 2. Remember, we would leave 2 in his crib?
Yeah.
We would leave one on one side and one on the other just so he found one. I'm like, don't come at me at 3 in the morning look for your passy. Like, you can find it yourself.
And it was so annoying because like sometimes his crib, you know, has like openings, and if you would drop it, I'm like,
yes, when he
so we bought a few. That's the reason why we did that, because
we left it on the corner that didn't have the bars.
Right.
Like, but it had more like a wallish. But so when Kailea came, I was like team passy, and homegirl did not care for passy.
Yeah,
she was like, give me milk. I don't want that. So with her, it's been a little harder. She's still a good baby. She still has been a good baby. But it was a little harder in that sense because she needed milk. Like she was like, I don't want a passy. Like,
that's true.
She didn't care for it.
Yeah.
But I don't care. I got a lot of crap for having my kids on passies from certain people that shouldn't have even given me advice because I don't even know you like that. It wasn't even like it was my parents or anything like that. And they were like, oh, their teeth are going to be messed up or they're not going to talk. Boy, talk. His teeth are fine and he was fine. I think it's just you have to wean it off at a certain age. Like you can't just let your 6-year-old have a passy. I mean, that's kind of excessive. But I think the first 2 years is fine and we didn't see any, negative results about that. Next one is bottles. What time to take them away?
I would say around the same time as the passy, right?
Yeah. So we did
before
bottle
they're 2
first or passy first. What did we take away first? We took one away first, but it was around the same week. Kailea still has it because we're home, so it's a little harder to wean her off of it. But we're gonna start transitioning her to like a sippy cup or whatever. New year. Yeah. But this one is kind of also, I think people say, once it starts, messing with their teeth and stuff like that. So I think as long as you kind of have a good age where you're like, okay, this is enough. I would say like around 2 or before 2 if you can. Next one is, what's your response to picky eaters? I feel like at one point all kids try to become picky. It's kind of inevitable.
Our son is picky about eating for the most part.
He wasn't in the beginning. It's like when he knew he could have an opinion about stuff. Yeah. He started to do it. So certain things he is picky, but for the most part, they're good eaters.
Yeah, but as far as what we do to picky eaters, where our son is at right now, he's almost 4. He does not get to choose all the time what his food is. No. He needs to eat what we eat, or he's not going to eat. I know it sounds very bad.
It does sound really bad, and we've gotten like looks for it because they're like, "You're not gonna make him something else." I'm like, "No."
No, he has to, but he has to learn, and he does get hungry.
Sometimes he'll say, "I don't want it. I don't want that." Like if he doesn't want to eat dinner, like, "Okay, then you're not eating." And then later on, he comes around, he's like eating his plate.
Yeah, we'll leave his plate there, and he'll like come back around. We leave it, and
he's eating it. Like, we know you like it. You just want chips for dinner. It's not gonna happen.
So most of the time, that's what happens at that point.
Okay, next one is age to start potty training.
I think they kind of tell you.
They tell you, for sure. I think you can't really rush it, but at the same time, you can start doing things to like introduce it, even if they're not ready for it. Like for example, with Josiah, we started talking about it. We brought out a little potty outside. You know, we would show him new underwear to get him ready for it, but he really wasn't ready at that time. And so we would just have him sit at the potty and just, you know, he would kind of cry. So like, okay, no, not yet. He was probably trying a few months before his 3rd birthday. So, and he was super good about it. So I think it's like, you can't really force your kid to do it too early if they're not ready, because then they're going to hate it. You know, they're going to not find it like a fun experience. For him, it was like a coming of age. Like, I'm a big boy. So it was really exciting.
Yeah. I think Kyla is going to actually be faster because she's already kind of telling us, pulling off her diaper a little bit. She actually told us the other day, she's like, I go poo-poo.
She's like poo-poo. We're like, huh?
What? But
and then one time she came and she had a wet diaper. She's like, here, change me.
Yeah. So she's kind of telling us, so we're going to start introducing that to her soon. She's not even 2 yet.
Yeah. So we'll see how it goes. What's your opinion about kissing your kids on the lips?
I do it.
So it's funny because I didn't grow up with that, but I never saw anything wrong with it. So we kiss our kids on the lips. And
now other people kissing our kids on the lips, that probably is a little weird.
Yeah.
Like aunts and uncles, I don't feel comfortable with that.
Yeah, and I think for us, like, once our kids start, you know, giving us a cheek, then that's going to be fine. I mean, it's going to break my heart, but I think it's going to be understandable. We're not going to expect them to kiss us on the lips forever, you know? It's up to the child. We also have to kind of tell them, like, hey, you know, that's something you do with, you know, mommy, daddy, and sissy. Like, it hasn't been an issue yet because Josiah is pretty good about just giving people hugs, right?
Yeah, that's
like
true.
When he does kisses, he kind of just, I don't know. But he mostly...
he doesn't really give people good kisses.
Kisses on the lips. It's mostly just us. I don't know. He probably just... He's a smart kid.
Yeah.
But I know some people are really against it, but I just feel like for us, it's just an innocent love. Like, it's like, those are our babies. I don't know, but I don't know.
Yeah. I hear you.
Mm-hmm. What age did you give your child chores? I think kids at any age can have chores. Kylea has chores, you know? But her chore is not wash my dishes, you know, it's clean up your toys. Pick up your toys, like, let's clean up.
And she does it. She knows. They're smart enough to do that at that age.
So I think age-appropriate chores should always be a thing because it just teaches them responsibility. And it also kind of makes them more aware. Like, I've been telling Josiah, are you sure you want to dump that bucket? Because you're going to clean it by yourself. You know, he's like, you're going to help me. I'm like, no, I'm not dumping the bucket. You're dumping the bucket. So things like that, just to kind of keep them accountable for the mess they're making. Yeah,
like Kylie, I'm teaching her, like, oh, where's the trash at? But she's trying to learn how to put things in the trash. So, like, little things like that, that's technically a chore. Like,
right. So, yeah, I think as they grow, obviously they're going to get more responsibilities. But for now, it's like just little things to have them learn how to help and contribute around this house. Do you teach your kid about their private part and the actual terms for them? Not yet.
We teach them, but you don't have to say the technical term
all the time.
Like, I'm not gonna tell Josiah penis, like,
right. But I feel like he also needs to know what it is and what it's called.
But he says, like, they say, like, little kid and like pee-pee, like, it's that's his pee-pee, you know. So I don't think that's too crazy for him to say. I don't, you know, and he knows what that is, and we're trying to teach him, like, you know, he's fortunately always with us, so it's not too bad. Or his grandma, which we feel comfortable with, but other than that, you know, we try to tell him, like, that nobody touches your pee-pee, you know.
That's true. I think, when he gets a little bit older, then, obviously we're going to use the right terms. But for now, he's 3, so. Yep. Spanking or timeouts? I don't know if you guys can hear the sprinklers outside. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Both. We grew up. I did not grow up with the timeout. I had, like, one timeout and I thought it was a joke.
Yeah, I didn't have any timeouts either when I was little.
So, obviously, they're young, so we're not, like, crazy gonna spank them, which, like, with Sissy, we'll, like, you know, tap her hand if she's touching something she's not supposed to. With Zaya, we'll give him, like, a tap on the butt, but it's nothing crazy. We say both because he hates going to the corner. Like, sometimes it hurts him more than us spanking him. Yeah. So sometimes we're like, go in the corner. If he sounds something, he's like, no, and he thinks it's, like, the biggest punishment ever. So
he's not even quiet in the corner. It's like, we can't even tell him to be quiet because he just cries, like, literally. He just
cries in the corner. So that works right now. I honestly also believe in, like, taking things away that they love, like privileges getting stripped away, because that hurts a lot more than sometimes in spanking. So I think we have a balance of all 3 of those. But I like to use spanking as a last resort, you know, because with, like, toddlers, it's like you're hitting them, but then you tell them don't hit. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like they don't understand, like, well, why are you hitting me if I can't hit my sister? You know, so it's like we try not to go to that first.
Well, we're not opposed to it.
We're not opposed to it, and we understand if you have to spank your kids, even in public. We're not going to call CPS on you.
No,
just kidding.
We're not those people.
So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this tag. I know some questions were like, oh, a little cringe, but I mean, everyone has their own kids, how you're raising them, everything like that. Yeah. So we hope you enjoyed it. If you agree with some, if you disagree with some, keep it to yourself. I'm just kidding. I was saying, comment down below.
But I think it's just about communication, right? Like, you know, with you and your significant other.
At the end of the day, we need to be on the same page. Not us and you guys, or not us and our parents. Like, it's not always easy, but yeah, it's hard.
All right, guys. So if you guys like this video, make sure you guys give it a big thumbs up. We are going to leave the giveaway details down in the description. Make sure if you subscribe, if you haven't subscribed already. All right. And you got anything else to say?
Yes. If you stayed all the way to the end of this video, because I know it's going to be a little long, comment down below baby emojis and how many babies you have. So if you have one kid, you can put one kid. If you have 5 kids, you can put 5 emojis. Just send baby emojis. And if you don't, put like the little X with the no babies, okay? So that way we know that you stay till the end. And you will get an extra entry in the giveaway.
Yeah. All right. So guys, we'll see you guys in the next video. And Roscoe's out.
Bye.
Peace.